This is the future of Africa. In this program, we focus on Horn of Africa's political, economic, and socio-cultural aspects. Let's share our vision, hopes, and professional critics. All views are stemmed. Stay with us. Itafa, welcome to this program.
Thank you, Dr. Hussein, for having me.
Great. I know that you have been advocating, working hard towards the Oromo struggle, and perhaps would you mind introducing yourself to the viewers?
Yeah, my name is Itafa Boka. Probably in the last couple of years, at least, I've been on the medias advocating for the cause of the Oromos and ensuring the voice of our people are heard across the world, and also putting a pressure on the government for our people to attain the democracy and the freedom that they're looking for. So I'm kind of advocating for the right of my people.
Great. As a person who's been advocating, working hard towards that, how do you describe the struggle of the Oromo people over the years?
Definitely there are a lot of ups and downs in the Oromo struggles. I think it's always a very good idea to really reflect on the ups, right? I mean, we have gained a lot over the last 50 years of the struggle. We always focus on the problem, on the failures, on the shortcomings of our people, our struggle, and our leaders. But I think it is really important always to talk about the ups, the wins, what we have gained so far, which are really the big one in that aspect is the Oromo self-awareness. Oromo is very self-aware. There's a lot of patriotism going on across the generation. And that is a huge gain that we got over the 50 years, Oromo self-awareness. And there is an exponential really growth in the language, in the culture among our people compared to the previous 50 years where the unitary system was subjugating our people. The last 50 years has been really better in a sense that our self-awareness grows, exponential growth in cultural and language. And also really, even though it is far from perfect, having our own territorial marks as an Oromia, and also, even though far from perfect, again, having a regional government as an Oromia region, those are all the gains that our fathers brought with their sacrificing their life and giving their life over the last 50 years to establish the Oromo nation on a value and a culture and a language that we are all proud of. In addition, I think then on the other side, we have a lot of really devastating setbacks in our struggles that happen over the last 50 years, because we always really, the Oromo struggle faced the setbacks when everybody was hoping and expecting that we're bringing this struggle to completion and to fruition, but at the last minute, it's always being aborted, and we're again backward probably another few years in our struggle. So I guess we can talk about what are all those problems that is really causing all these setbacks, and we gain and then we go back, we gain and then we go back. I think there are a lot of things we can talk about. What are those setbacks? Why are all those failures? So, yeah,
but I think there are unfolding achievements, as you have said. I mean, a lot of things have happened, and perhaps now can we talk about some of the challenges, not only the ups, the downs, the failures of the struggle.
Exactly. I think the big challenge among the Oromo is the internal division. That's number one. Number two is political miscalculation. Number three is, when I talk about internal division, the splints of groups that is being formed within the Oromo elites, within the Oromo political parties, and every time we really is to the point that we're achieving the goal, then this internal division brings us back. And really the Ethiopian empire, or the people who have the power, have done an amazing job successfully in dividing us at that critical stage where we're about to attain that success everybody's hoping and expecting. They did an amazing job always at that critical stage to abort that success. So honestly, it's mostly the political division within the groups, within the Oromos, and also really having that division within and people not agreeing on concept at the last minute. Some of the issues that need to be resolved before getting that stage shows up at that stage. And this have been a huge challenge.
Yeah,
for us.
I understand there are two challenges. One is internal, the other is external. Now
Exactly.
you've been focusing on the internal one. And you used very important term, that is miscalculation.
Political miscalculation.
Yes, what were those miscalculations?
I am glad you asked.
Touch upon that.
Exactly. There's a lot of political miscalculation. Let's go back to the 1991, right? We did a huge, it's not to blame Obolenj Olata, but there's a huge political miscalculation with that leadership where agreeing to put the military back in the camp, trusting Americans, trusting Eritreans, and trusting the Tigrayans. The Oromo leadership decided to put the military back in the camp. That is a huge political miscalculation. The second huge political miscalculation on Bolenjo's part is refusing to accept the leadership role that was offered to him. I guess we did exactly the same political miscalculation in 2018 with Lamma Magarsa. Jawar Mohammed has been fighting against the nomination of Abiy Ahmed on that early stage of reform. But everybody pushed back on him, saying that Abiy has to be going into the primarship position. So again, Lamma also agreed to that and supported that idea instead of Lamma is in the right passage to be the prime minister because he is the one, according to the laws and the constitution of the country, Lamma is really in line to go for that. But again, Lamma made another political miscalculation where the unknown guy came from nowhere and took the power, and look at where we are today. So I think those are a huge political miscalculation on our leaders. Things would have been, I believe that things would have been a little bit different than what it is right now if it was Lamma or Bolenjo had taken that position
Don't
back.
you think that did add fuel on a fire, for instance, because of the absence of strong institutional foundations in an Oromo, or the absence of unity that you have been talking so far? And I feel that, you see, the absence of strong institutional foundations, in addition to having strong political parties, did contribute to that kind of thing. So is there anything that the Oromos could learn from the 1974, 1991, if you like, 2018? Because we could have been more organized, and it's like Passover to the other ones. So
that's the sad thing. That's still. Did we even learn from it right now? No. Do we have any strong institution that is ready to take power tomorrow? No. After even the OLF was kicked out of the charter and they went into wherever, Eritrea, and why wasn't there a strong establishment of structures, Oromo institutions? We didn't learn from it, and we didn't work hard to establish all those inclusive institutions that is ready at any critical junction or moment to take on the power. We never worked on that. Instead, what was expanded within the Oromo is the division. A division, whether it's by region, religion, whatever it is, that was disseminated into the society by the leaders, not the society. The Oromo nation, the Oromo society, whether it is Arsi, Wallaga, Bali, Harar, there is no internal conflict or division as a society. All the divisions are disseminated by these leaders because of the fight over power, control. So they were so focused on who gets the power, who controls the power, than really structuring a strong institution that is ready to take over the power at any moment. Look at right now. I think we are still I feel like we're 40, 50 years, there is no change when it comes to having that institution that is ready to take over. Right now, if it is available, if somebody comes and say take over, who is the structure and the institution that is going to take over?
We'll come to that.
Yep.
Let's look at the 2018. There were hopes and promises, as you remember, and I think we were one of the people who actively involved in it. In addition to the so-called miscalculations, political miscalculations, and so on. Why did you think that those promises and hopes for transformation turned down by those people who immersed themselves into the process?
Honestly, I think genuinely the 2018 reform was started on a good path, on a good.
In fact, I don't call that as a reform or as restructuring or transformation.
Yep.
Usually, I call it as a renew kind of thing because it was more of renewal. It's not a kind of deep reform or restructuring. So that's my
exactly.
Yes.
If the people who stayed in power for the last 3 years continue to be in power just by changing names and language,
Sure.
not a profound change in structure, not a profound change in ideology, not a profound change in political beliefs. It is just a reform into by name and words. It is not a reform. Absolutely, I agree to that. But I guess we all hope that some change where Oromos are now united, we're going to work together, establish even if we continue to be a country Ethiopia as a country, we thought that we're going to organize, structure ourselves, and lead the country into more democracy, unity, equal rights for everybody, not only for the Oromos, but for everybody.
Yes.
But that really quickly disappeared. All that hopes and all that prayer, hopes, and the hope of the nation disappeared. What? Did it last a year and a half? I don't think so. It just went away. I think what happened, we have to look at what happened. I think the people have not changed. The hope and the dream of the people never change. Actually, the support of the people for Abiy and Team Lamma even didn't change. Abiy and his team decided to change. Sometimes I hear some argument from the Prosperity Party, people who support that group, that we betrayed Abiy and pulled back our support. That is why he changed or whatever. But to be honest, if we look at it closely, the support never changed. But Abiy decided to change from what he told us when he came here, from what he announced everywhere where he had rallies and everything. He pulled back. I think, why did Abiy do that? That is always the question. To my opinion, I always think about that. Why did Abiy decide to really turn his back on Oromos and decide to cuddle with others or the regime that existed or the system that ruled Ethiopia for however many years, and went back to that old system? I think for him it's a politics, right? It's a political calculation for him too. It's not. I don't think it's a bad calculation for him. It's a good calculation for him, but it is bad for us because I think
even that is a bad calculation for him. Like, I believe that Oromos, 50% of the total population goes to the Oromo society, right? It's like having 50% vote.
Yep.
To a person who is going
abandoning
to
the 50% or more.
Yeah, that miscalculation is unbelievable. How do you see that?
I think this is what I see. Abiy, everybody thought that they have a good start and they thought they have a very good political future. But I think something changed when OLF went from Eritrea to Finfinne. The mass rally of 10 million people in support of OLF, I think, changed some of Abiy's understanding, Abiy's belief, Abiy's hope. Because deep inside they were thinking OLF is somehow dead, somehow not the party of the century, not any more relevant party for the 21st century. But what they saw in Finfinne on the day Dawood Ibsa and his team came from Eritrea, almost 10 million people in Finfinne, the whole street, road, painted in Oromo flags and everything, that was the start of his doubts. So the second huge doubt came when he started saying the OFC, Jawar and OFC uniting and moving in one direction. So from what I think is that they looked at, if they conduct a genuine, fair and free election, they quickly understood that Prosperity Party has no political future in Oromo. They already saw that half of the vote will go to Kafao and Jawar. The other portion of the vote, if the genuine fair election happens, the other half will go to OLF.
That's true. Let's dive into the other side of it. It's like there were two camps actually,
right?
And the unitary camp and the federalist camp. Mm-hmm. And I personally feel that those who were in the unitary camp, who really believe that the past is glory, mm-hmm. and they call it the golden age of our time, mm-hmm. would like to return to those days. And I feel that those side or those camps hijacked the hopes and promises for transformation.
Exactly.
How do you see that?
That is exactly where I'm going. They saw an opportunity right there. They saw Venerable Abiy losing the Oromo vote, losing the Oromo confidence, because all of a sudden there are two big parties kind of working together, looking into the future, getting into the parliament, uniting, mm-hmm. joining force and taking over. So Abiy felt vulnerable, and the unitary camp saw that opportunity, and they say, we will give you a political ground. Everybody needs, what is the term I'm looking for? A political ground or constitution, yes. that they base their political ground on. So the unitary camp gave Abiy a political ground or a camp or a constituent that she can put together to fight. His fight is taking the north and then Finfinne and all that, and that is the only path that he could see, where he might be able to control Finfinne and then take the northern part of Ethiopia to have any political ground or political constituency to run. So, but on top of that, then he know that he have the power to not do election, he has the power to manipulate election and do whatever he wants. So he has that in his pocket, but he went the route of the taking by force.
Well, we'll be back to that.
Yeah.
Let me take you to the other side of our discussion. You guys, you have been advocating actively, particularly the activists. Mm-hmm. I think you were one of them, mm-hmm. who have been advocating for the Oromo people. And recently you have been relatively silent. Why is that?
That's a good question. I guess there is huge confusion in the last 2-3 months, or I don't know if it is 4 months now. Huge confusion for everybody. Oromos as an entire Oromo, the intellectuals, the activists, and everybody. When Jawar, Bakele, and everybody was in prison, we're so focused on really getting them out, because they are the Oromo figures, and they're the nationalists, and Oromo totally focused on the death of Hachalu, getting justice for Hachalu, and also getting justice for these guys, get them out of prison. But if we speak honestly, once Jawar and Bakele come out of prison, and the political dialogue, the political ideology has shifted from what they are putting on the stage, everybody was shocked and taken back and said, okay, what is happening here? So really, on my part, I decided to stay silent so that I don't talk what I don't understand, because I wasn't really fully understanding what is really going on. What I felt was the nationalist Jawar and the nationalist Bakele Garba went into prison, came out a unionist. That is how I felt. Nationalists went into prison, unionists came out.
What did you expect after the release?
Actually, I was hoping that they're going to come out and unite the Oromo people. I genuinely was hoping that once they come out, they're going to bring the Oromo people together, bring all the Oromo intellectuals together, bring all the Oromo parties together and say, you know what? All we have is each other. All we have is one another. We have too many enemies. We need to organize, structure, galvanize us Oromo. And even if we're running for a political office, if we're running for election, I expected that it is a moment where they bring everybody together and lead into the future.
That leads us to the role of media, actually, social media.
Mm-hmm.
And in this chemistry, the social media did play a significant role in inserting negative and positive energies.
Yep.
How do you see that?
Yeah, that is why personally that I prefer to be quiet, not to come out and say something about anybody. Yes, I have my own beliefs. I have my own thinking on what Bakale was saying, on what Jawar was saying, on how things are going across Europe, America, wherever. Because the role of social media, let's talk about, there's a huge Oromo, starting from Arab Spring all the way to Oromo movement in 2018. Social media played a huge positive impact.
Sure.
It became a voice for the voiceless. It empowered people who never had a voice. It empowered people who never had expressed their opinion. It gave everybody the power, the empowerment and the voice that everybody was looking for. And look at it, 2018. The Tigrayan government was sent to Tigray without shooting a single bullet through social media. That is the power of the social media, the power of unity in the social media. And that is how impactful it is when it is used in a proper way, in a positive way. But it has kind of the same destructive impact when it is used in a wrong way. Right now, if you assess right now what is out there on the social media, especially within our community, what you hear is more negative than positive. All you hear is how bad we are, how much we don't have unity, how we hate each other, fragmented, how this region doesn't like this region, this person doesn't like this person. It is all negative. Really impacting how we think, how we process, how we organize ourselves. It is very destructive right now. In the environment where the social medias are not controlled, monitored, there will be misinformation, there will be rumors, false accusations, enticing ethnic violence. It could bring a society down. And right now, the direction and the trajectory of social media within our community is in that path. We're not using it for a positive cause. Open a Facebook, go to TikTok. Every single information and message you hear that is negative. You don't see somebody coming out talking about unity, about coming together. We're going to win if we stand together. We're brothers, we're sisters. Let's stand together. Let's fight for what is not happening for our people. You don't see any message, be it from the leaders, be it from activists, leaders, church leaders, mosque leaders. You see even church leaders, mosque leaders coming out in part of that negative message that really divides our people. Where is our role standing in the middle ground and say, we only win if we get united. We only win if we stand together. Where is that positive message? You don't see that positive message. Honestly, we need to use the social media really to talk about what unite us, what bring us together, what is our common cause. We have a common cause. I know this common cause even is distracted and it's all messed up right now, but there is a common cause that we all can really stand on and organize and mobilize ourselves. Let's use it for a positive thing.
Great reflections. And let me move it towards the current situation of Ethiopia and Oromia in particular. How do you see the overall context of politics, economy, and diplomacy in that country? I've been asking this question a number of people now. Repeatedly, I'm asking purposely. So I want to get your reflection. And how do you see the current political, economic, and diplomatic condition of that nation in general, and specific to Oromia in particular?
Yeah, I guess, to my opinion, I guess the country is deteriorating politically, socially, economically, and morally. We are hitting a low point. It's getting to the dangerous breaking point where things could really end up in a further chaos. I don't feel like somebody's in charge. It feels like there is a king and there is a country, and the rest is just a mess. There is no direction. There is no political structure. There are interest groups. There is no, who is the political structure right now in Oromo, in Oromia, or even in that country? The Amara people don't have a leader. There is a fractured interest group within that nation. Oromo doesn't have any strong party that is ready to do anything. It's just interest group within interest groups. Politically, it's just down to the ground. Economy is just, at some point, I think the world wasn't even measuring Ethiopia's gross GDP or anything. They just stopped at some point, IMF and all that, because it was just spiraling downwards. So it is really at the point where, unless, look at that inflation right now. What is inflation? 32.5, 33% at this point?
7, yeah.
Yep. And unemployment at 20-something%.
And the exchange rate?
The exchange rate, what, 100 birr per dollar right now? Mm-hmm. Is honestly looking from every angle. There is no indication of anything changing or improving. We are actually going down by days, by minutes. So the same for Oromo. Right now, we're if we look at the most disenfranchised, the most affected within that Ethiopia is the Oromo people, right?
We'll be back to the Oromo and the Oromian case. And I think before yesterday, I'm not sure, before 3 or 4 days, the president of the nation, she was talking about development, economic growth, and they referred to the Great Dam. They referred to the great legacy, and they refer to exporting wheat to the international market. Yeah. How do you see that? Because they are claiming something, you see, maybe they are claiming possibility of the impossible.
That message is very consistent with prosperity gospel. I don't know if
what's in it?
Prosperity gospel is always talks about the utopia, the high achievement without the reality. Prosperity gospel talks about future, dreams, hopes, and just really taking you emotionally and spiritually to the higher ground without really nothing on the ground. That is what they are. Abi and his team is fully immersed in prosperity gospel. I'm a Christian, I understand the prosperity gospel. It's all about, we will be rich, we will be great, we will be on the higher ground, we will winning. That is how prosperity gospel is. That is what we're talking about. People don't have, I talk to people down in Walega. They don't have things to buy to eat. There is no wheat, there is no corn. People are not eating. What they see as a country is just Finfinne. They don't look beyond Finfinne. Yeah, they build green legacy, this building, that building, just around Finfinne, and feel like they are really growing, they are really progressing, they are really doing something. Everybody else is dying. Everybody else is watching them on TV celebrating and eating and drinking and hoping one day they will be like those guys in Finfinne. Our people are dying in rural areas. They don't see that. It's none of their business. They just put whoever they want in a jail. And the corruption is rampant. The prosperity cadres put people in a jail and ask family for 20,000 birr, 30,000 birr, and make money to release that person. Now jailing and detaining people is a business right now for PP cadres. It is hot market right now because per head they're charging 20,000 birr for families to get their loved ones out of prison.
Let's be more specific now to the context of Oromia. As you said, well, it could be because of the war, the ongoing war, continuous war in their country, most probably because of that. And there are droughts, famine, and now the critical problems are, one, political, the ongoing war, distracting everything.
Yep.
The second one is drought and famine throughout the nation now, in Guji, in Borana, in Bale remote areas, Harar, now even Wulliga, which is very fertile in the green areas, under serious problem because they are not farming for that matter. And the other thing is inflation, which is skyrocketing. It's a kind of robbery. I mean, taking the money from the pocket of the people. And finally, which is very critical, that the country, particularly in Oromia, corruption is there, which is getting almost a trend, a system, as you said. And how do you see these turbulences and turmoils in that region, particularly in Oromia?
It is sad. It's really sad that we didn't even see this level, this magnitude of corruption, violence under Mallas and his rules. To be honest, the people, especially where I came from, Wulliga, we're hoping and pray to see the times of Mallas. Those times are way 10 times, 20 times better than what we're suffering right now. And in Wulliga, people have been under command posts for the last 4 years. No phone, no internet. You can't farm. All the people who have some money, and business people, intellectuals left that area. Right now, all we have is the farmers and the poor people who can't survive on their own. And this is consistent with their message, where they said they're going to dry the lake or the river so that they can kill the fish. And imagine all this is happening on us, on all of us, on all Oromos, by the so-called our brothers and sisters. If it is a different tribe or somebody else inflicting this on us, it is understandable, right? It's because it's a fight for power. It's a fight for control. But all this, even during 30 years, 30 years of Mallas and the Tigray people, this level of hate, this level of corruption, this level of killing and detention never happened on us. And sometimes people think, when we say Mallas era is a much better era, people go nuts. But when we compare leaders, we compare for what they accomplished, we compare them for how much peace we had. Yes, Mallas regime was bad, but honestly, this is 10 times worse than what we have seen in our life. So unless something change, unless some international body intervene.
Let me stop you there.
Yeah.
How do you see the fallacy of, for instance, Haile Selassie the first was an Oromo. He had that Oromo background. And, Mengistu Haile Mariam was also Oromo. They did against everything against Oromo people, particularly Haile Selassie the first was, I mean, he was not in a position even to have Oromos on that land. And now there are people saying, okay, this government is an Oromo government. And I personally feel that we need to look at the practice, what's happening in reality, what the government are doing. Exactly. How do you see that?
Yeah, what Oromo wants is not really an Oromo leader, to my opinion. If we're talking about Ethiopia as a country, if we're thinking Oromia as an independent country, that's a different story. But if we're looking at Ethiopia, what the people want, whether it's Oromo, Amara, anybody, what people want is good governance, democratic governance, rule of law, and just living in peace, going out and come back in peace without fear of detention, fear of being beaten to death. What people want is peace. What benefit will it have for an Oromo to have an Oromo person who's a dictator to his own people, killing and detaining his own people? I would rather take an Amara leader who's democratic, who is peaceful, who can bring unity for the people. Honestly, what people want is peace, democracy. Once you achieve that, you want an economic growth where you can flourish, grow, and live a good, prosperous life. So it really doesn't matter. We're not looking, to my opinion, we're not looking for an Oromo leader. We're looking for somebody democratic, somebody who can respect the rule of law and bring peace and unity to the country. But Oromo have to decide what we want, right? We have to decide, how do we go about into the future? What should our political future look like? What do we want? We need to decide that. Right now, we're so confused we don't even know what we want, because there is a federalist camp, there is a unitary camp, and there is an independent Oromia camp. Whatever camp it is, we don't even know what we want anymore. So we need to clearly define what we want as a people, not what the parties are defining, what the leaders are defining. Oromo as a people need to define, what do I want? What is the number one thing I want? To my opinion, Oromos have to fight for. I think this will bring everybody, to my opinion, bring everybody on the same level. We, I think, have to start on a basic concept of the right for self-determination. We need to decide what we want. This gives us a decision. I think this is an international law. This is a law of in the UN Charter, that every human have the right to their own destination. So we need to decide our destination. I don't want OLF, OFC, or OLA, anybody decide what Oromo wants for the future. I want the people to decide. Let's decide. Can we agree on one point where we say, okay, we need our self-determination, the right to self-determination. That right to self-determination could be living as an Ethiopia, as a country, or decide to go independent. Whatever we want, Oromo has to decide. We need to decide what we need. And what we need is the right of self-determination.
Yeah, the right to self-determination is, as you said, it's a recognized human right for them.
Exactly.
And it is there in the constitution of Ethiopia.
Yep.
Yeah. Now the point is, people tend to miss the essence of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not me or somebody or you or any political party or anybody having a power to decide that end. Exactly. Now the point is, I think we need to clearly define it. The role of actors, whether political parties, elites, or any power, is to provide that chance to the people.
Exactly.
Exactly. The fight should be towards that. Then at the end of the day, the decision maker should be the people, the Oromo people.
Exactly.
That's how I believe in, and I'm glad that you.
Yeah, honestly, what I believe is that
I'm raising this because there are some people who already decided everything.
Yep.
On behalf of the Oromo people. Look at this. There are three camps.
Yep.
The Ethiopian camp.
Yep.
The Federalist camp, and those who say Ethiopia is empire, so we don't talk about Ethiopia, independent Oromia.
Exactly.
Now this decision should not be made by anybody.
Exactly.
Other than the people. Yes.
Exactly. I think, to my opinion, any Oromo political party who doesn't have that premises in their political program should be rejected by Oromos. That is my opinion. Any party who doesn't believe in the Oromo, for the Oromos of self-determination, any party that says, this is what is best for you, this is what I'm giving it to you.
As a person who have been involving in it, I don't see any party or OLA against that. OLA is for self-determination. KFAO, OFC is for self-determination. And ABAO, that is, OLF is for self-determination. There is no confusion over there. The confusion is what a tendency of some people or figure. Even among intellectuals, there is no confusion. Everybody claims for self-determination.
Yeah.
That does not mean deciding the issue now.
Yep.
It's to enable, to teach, to show the people. Yes.
Taking our people there, let the people decide what direction we would like to take. And then if everybody agrees on that, then let everybody work on that, right? Clearly work on that. Organize around that, structure around. I have heard from Oromo camps that, it is in the constitution, we believe in that, but we think federalism is the best way. And it's their opinion, it's their political opinion, that's fine, but that is where the issue is. And I think if we all believe in that basic concept, the people should organize around that. Build our unity around that.
Based on that, let me push you to the other direction now. People talk about the national dialogue in their country, and because national dialogue discussion, people think that the less costly type of approach instead of war and so on. But now the point is, I personally feel that there should be a dialogue among the Oromos to create that door, to open that door, the door in which the Oromos can define its common interest, including the issue of self-determination.
Exactly.
So, regardless of the political program, their political program, or their interest, their ambition, I think priority should be given to the common interest of the Oromo people. So Oromos should come together, sit down and discuss about it and define its common interest. How do you see that?
Exactly. So I think the national dialogue, it is a good thing if it can happen. If there is a genuine interest for change, right? But the way it is started now, the Prime Minister started a commission, right? A commission for a national dialogue, which failed from the start because it is not for a Prime Minister to put that together, right? From what they did so far, they created a commission and they wanted everybody to come to the table on their own term. That doesn't satisfy or really doesn't meet an international standard.
Sure.
By no means it doesn't meet that standard.
It has to be all-inclusive, it has to be participatory, it has to be independent, it has to be a kind of...
Should be mediated by a neutral body, like a UN.
Yes.
So I guess it failed from the start. I guess that is, Abiy and his team is using that as show of interest or show of something to the international body community that he is trying. He's doing his best without really following an international standard. An international standard, like you said, it has to be inclusive. Everybody has to be at the table. Inclusive in turn, Ola, with the thousands and thousands of militaries in Oromia, probably tens of thousands of militaries at this point, is not even part of that commission or that part of it's not going to be part of the dialogue.
No way in which you discuss with TDF and not all of that, it doesn't work because...
Who is going to discuss? Everybody is in Finfinne living together. The two forces that are fighting the government with guns are outside and not part of it. It is not a national dialogue. It is an interest group in Finfinne coming together and just chit-chatting and having fun, honestly. So the national dialogue has to be genuine, and the neutral body, such as the United Nations, has to be mediating it. And then I guess when it comes to Oromo, like you said, I want to come to that Oromo. How should Oromo prepare for this? This is what we need. Like you said, Oromo have to come together, define what he wants, what his interest is, what he is going to push in the dialogue. We don't want 4 or 5 Oromos going in there, pushing in a different direction where we're fighting, then the enemy wins. So I think for us, to be honest, if we come together in this conversation, the first thing we have to demand, TDF has its own demand, right? As Oromo, we have to have our own demand. What is the number one demand? The war on Oromo has to stop first. That is number one. The command post on our people should be lifted, and our people have to go back to their normal life. That is the second demand. The third is that the neutral body, like Ola or already Jalmaro talked about that if there is a genuine third party who will mediate a negotiation, who will mediate that, they said they are willing to be part of the discussion. So all this has to be really, has to take place even for Oromo. The good point you raised is that we need to have our own dialogue first before a national dialogue. And then within that, our own dialogue, these points has to be a precondition where the war on Oromo needs to stop, the command post on Oromo needs to be lifted, that neutral body has to come. So if the government want to do that, genuinely want to do that, there is a path to peace and democracy.
Yeah, I think the first step for national dialogue or the regional dialogue, if you like, is to implement a cessation of hostility, so that there should be some kind of agreement. You see, to stop war and talk about Now, what I'm talking is in general terms as an Oromo, the Oromo camp should be strengthened. There must be unity. We have to have strong institutional foundations, and still we need to educate our people. And I feel that when you are, separated as a political party or as OLA or as an intellectual, when you run in a different direction, then that will open the door for enemies.
Exactly.
So I think we need to work on that. Now, let's go to the conclusion of our discussion. As a person who've been involving in it, in politics, what do you advise that nation, the Ethiopian government, the Ethiopian people, has the international community, and in particular the Oromo people?
For international community, our ask is to intervene. They are trying multiple things. I think the last 6 months they have been trying different things through an African Union and stuff like that. It's not coming to fruition. It's not really moving a needle in any direction. So I think the international community need to put more pressure and really involve more than the African Union. I don't have any confidence in African Union to resolve Ethiopian issue. African leaders never I hate to say never, but they don't have a good track record of solving problems.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way, right? In asking those people who were not good leaders in their own country, not solved a lot of problem within Africa, to ask to resolve such a huge conflict that costed thousands, hundreds of thousands of human lives, I think that need to change. And the Americans, the Europeans need to involve in heavy way to push everybody towards that. Ethiopian government, all it takes them is to have the willingness. Look at the people. Look at the people. What the entire nation is going through. The emotional, psychological, financial, in death, in detention, terror, and day in and out. People are killed in their neighborhoods by the government forces. Look at all this and feel mercy for your people, and have a heart really to bring this to an end, so people can go back to their normal life and have a democratic and a peaceful country. But it's all about power. So power will never concede, right? I mean, that is the saying, that the power will never concede unless they are forced. So to Oromo people, I guess one big I would like to say is that never lose hope. It's never lose hope. We fought for the last 50 years. We will continue. We have to continue to fight. The fight could be in a peaceful manner. The fight could be.
On that spot, I would like to. Okay, it's interesting that you moved me in your reflection. Look at this. During 2014, from 2014 to 2018, as you have said, the non-violent struggle was highly successful and
exactly
turned around everything, and there was a tendency of shift. And some call it reform, but I call it renewal. And do you see any hope of that kind of thing? Because the government closed the door for peaceful struggle. But still, the parties are there. For instance, the two parties who registered for that kind of struggle. I think they need to do two things. First, they must create pressure on their government to open the door for that kind of struggle, and exercising the struggle itself with whatever strategy, like mobilizing the people, challenging the government, and so on.
Yeah.
How do you see? Is there any hope for that, or now it's like everything is stacked and there is no clear?
Yeah.
Yes. How do you see that?
I think at this point, the big thing is there is no clear leader for Oromo. If we feel like we lost leaders who can galvanize, mobilize, I think there is a general feeling that that method, the 2016, 17, 18 method, might not be viable at the current moment because of the heavy-handed, the killing and all that of the government mercilessly. So everybody is really kind of felt like it's just more loss of life. So Jawar and Eto'o that decide, from what I see, probably decide to try different routes. It is probably, or other leaders are saying maybe that and the Cairo power and all that is not a viable path forward. But it could be now. But people, we need to understand the power of the people. We need to understand the power that we have as a people, in what we have showed the last governments when we stand united. When we stand united, we didn't even shoot a single bullet to send the Tigrayan government to Tigray. When Oromo stand united, enemies have seen, friends have seen, everybody have seen how much we can accomplish, what we can get done. So we need to understand that our unity is at the core of this struggle. And our lack of unity is what is causing what is happening right now. Our people need to come together. We only win if we unite. If all Oromo from all angles of Oromia unite and stand together. We need to stop, we really need to stop categorizing and dividing ourselves under different leaders. We need to come together as a nation. Right now, different camps under Jawar and Eto'o, different camps under Marro and Eto'o, different camp under Dawood Ibsa and Eto'o. We need to leave the leaders alone. They do their job. We need to come together as a nation.
I think the whole idea is the Oromos should fight against system, not against individuals.
Exactly.
And the Oromos should fight for change of system, not for change of individuals.
Exactly.
That might
Exactly.
be a great conclusion. But let me, it's not on my agenda, but before your concluding remark, I'd like to get your reflection on what's happening in Ethiopia currently, particularly in relation to the education system and the final examination and the turbulence it's created and the type of leadership we have, including the minister from the Ministry of Education who have been advocating against the rights of nations and nationalities, against religion, has been there for a long period of time, he did try to establish for about 9 political institutions and failed. And he was a warrior here and there in Nigeria, and so now he has got the chance to lead.
Everywhere he goes, there is a distraction.
How do you see that?
I read on a Facebook that I thought was hilarious. I think it must be my brother who wrote it, and he says the only place Branu Naga didn't destroy is a Kaliti prison, but everywhere he went there is a chaos and distraction, and the only place he left in one piece is a Kaliti prison. Just reflecting on what he's doing with the education system of Ethiopia. So honestly, I in the last few days, about a week or so ago, I heard that I got a phone call from back home saying that they are putting everybody, the student that have to take the national examination. I was told that everybody was putting on a bus and on a big trucks to go to Asosa to take the national exam, and families were terrified. It brought back a memory of the national military service during the Derg regime, where sons and daughters were snatched from the arms of their parents and taken to military camp for training, so to fight the Eritreans and the Tigrayans. So it brought that memory, and you can see people have distrust with the government as to where they are taking their kids. They were told not to bring phone. They were told not to just to get their bed sheet and covers and stuff like that for wherever they stay. And everybody was told that was like a mischievous move, thinking everybody's families thinking they're going to military camp for training. But it looks like it happened across Oromia, where everybody was taken to a different place to take exam. It is just interesting, looking at the country that we live in, that they tell you the night before the exam, make sure you go to sleep, get 8 to 10 hours of sleep, a very good sleep, eat a very good breakfast before you come to exam. That is what we were always heard in colleges, for our kids in high school and all that. But these kids are loaded onto a truck, taken to another city, probably without no sleep, and they go take exam.
And there were a number of accidents, and
exactly.
Did you hear what did happen in Awasa?
Yep.
Whereby the bridge
collapsed. Yep, exactly.
And that was. Now, there are two things. One is, from the very start, it affects the psychological makeup of students. And the second one is physical damage.
Exactly.
And the third one is the cost that nation is incurring by using wrong strategy instead of using the other less costly alternative.
Yep.
That's what's happening in that nation, and the man is against the curriculum, what have you.
His goal is to change that entire.
We'll have time to discuss about this. I'm very glad that you have raised a number of issues. Now it's time for your final remark or remarks within a split of second.
Yes, so I think the remark that my message goes to our people. It's all about unity. It's all about standing together. It doesn't matter what our political differences are. It doesn't matter what the ideologies are. It really doesn't matter what this person believes, what that person believes. The unity of our people is at the core of this. The only way the enemy will win is when we are not united. When brothers fight, the enemy wins. When brothers fight, the enemy wins. So stop the fight. Let's focus on the cause, not the people, not the person, not the political leaders. Let's just as a nation focus on the cause of Oromo. The cause of Oromo is all about democracy, the right to self-determination. Let's come together around these premises and build unity, and stop insulting, degrading ourselves, and exposing ourselves for the enemy. Honestly, we have shown what we can do when we are united. We have shown time and time again what we are capable of when we're united. So our unity is at the core. Learn to forgive each other. Learn to forgive leaders. And let's just, if leaders are the problem, let's correct the leaders and bring our people from all angles of Oromia in unity and fight for what is right and fight for what is ours.
Great. I've been advocating this, and I always say we have three solutions to our problem. Three solutions. One is unity. The second one is unity. The third one is unity. And with this, we conclude our discussion with Tafa today, and he's very young and a person of perhaps energy and a person of unity. I'm sure you're going to serve as a unifying force in the future. And for those of you who would have liked to share your professional critiques, hopes, and views, the door is open, and you can contact me through my Facebook. And my name is Hussein Kadir. Itafa, profoundly thank you so much for the reflection and for coming here.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
This is the future of Africa. In this program, we focus on Horn of Africa's political, economic, and socio-cultural aspects. Let's share our vision, hopes, and professional critics. All views are stemmed. Stay with us.